So we get to use rocket technology to build tunnels.
The story comes in 4 acts. But the ship is unsinkable, he says, as the water laps at his ankles. Act 2. It's unsinkable, he says, as the room fills with water. Act 3. Unsinkable! It was designed by Elon Musk as it heads towards the bottom of the ocean. And finally, Act 4. It's unsinkable as the ship rests on the sea floor. This is what it means to be truly committed to the lie. And today we're going to take a look at someone who looks around on the sea floor like this and says, this is what winning looks like. As they often say, it's easier to con people than to convince them they're being conned. You see, you get the distinct impression that Elon Musk would simply rather people forget about his visionary idea for transforming city travel. Well, how can I know that? Well, guess who has removed the Boring Company vision video from their YouTube channel? Yep, the Boring Company set their vision video to private, such that now you can only find private links to it on embedded websites. God, I love when things date like this. Elon Musk's latest venture, the Boring Company, looks like an underground roller coaster of your car. And this was published in April of 2017. Gosh, I wonder what video that is that has been set to private. Fortunately, I might have had a copy or two lying around on old hard drives, seeing as I've been busting this for years. So what have we got? Huge wide tunnels. That never happened. They're putting their car on another car for no apparent reason. It's running on a rail. That never happened. And it's going to zoom for us. It's going to go 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles per hour. That never happened. And they're going to have minivans. Pods. Yeah, sure. The company that basically had to bet the entire company just to get one car, the Model 3, into mass production. All the time it was promising sports cars and pickup trucks and trucks. Yeah, it goes without saying that none of this ever happened, and it's all been airbrushed out of history to the point where it now only exists on videos like mine, and of course they are Boring Company fans who really don't realise that they're rubbing Elon Musk's nose in his own failure. Now, years later, the Boring Company's vision has been transformed from a cheap, safe, spacious, rapidly constructible, fully automated, infinitely scalable traffic solution into a claustrophobic, slow-to-build, crazy expensive-to-run death trap that consists of slow-moving human taxi drivers traveling between only 3 stations.
We think this is the only way that we can think of to address chronic traffic issues in major cities.
It combines the absolute worst elements of using cars and public transport and combines them in only the way that a futuristic genius could. But this video really isn't about Musk. It's about his fans, because it's one thing to be sucked into believing something stupid, but as the ship is resting on the sea floor and you're still calling the designer of the unsinkable ship a genius, well, you just might be in a cult. Now, fortunately, one of the videos that wasn't deleted is the Boring Company information session, which was streamed in May of 2018, so 4 years ago. And by happy coincidence, it's also clipped in Elon Musk's Updates Boring Company. This will change the world forever in Elon Musk viral videos. Let's see what people thought at the time. Never thought I'd be so interested in public transport outside of aviation. This is awesome. We need more people like Elon Musk. He doesn't accept, no, that's not technologically possible. And then shows how a new way might make it possible. I've always said this man is like a present Earth has been given. We should really take his ideas seriously. I really admired this man, the greatest man of our time. Yeah, I just want you to keep in mind that these are comments that people left on the video we're about to watch. The truth is the Boring Company is needed for tunneling on Mars. this is Mars. Elon is practicing here on Earth. And so on and so forth. Well, that's how it was going 4 years ago. I wonder how this stream has aged.
Entrepreneurial visionaries who have been able and willing to dream big when it comes to a transportation revolution that could transform the way we connect with one another.
Yes, what you see.
Iceberg, right ahead!
Thank you.
Like, there's quite a lot of education, I think, that needs to be done with respect to what's possible with what probably should be described as like personalized mass transit.
Shoot a taxi. It's a little cat.
I mean, there's some things that are conceptually quite different from other modes of transport. We think this is the only way that we can think of to address chronic traffic issues in major cities. And there really don't seem to be solutions that are anywhere around the corner, or like even that might work that I'm aware of. If you can do hundreds of tunnels, and you can have many small stations woven throughout the fabric of a city.
Iceberg, right ahead! Stop!
You can actually, without even the city even appearing different, you could solve the transport problem. If you have many small stations that are not much larger than a parking space, then you could have, you could really seamlessly integrate a new transport network into a city.
And to their credit, they did actually try and build one of these. Of course, it wasn't quite just a footprint of a car. It was a massive hole in the middle of the road that would have just left a giant chasm there whenever things went up and down. Seriously, for those of you who have never noticed, this wasn't an automated system. Yeah, you see that little guy there in the bottom? Just shows you how big this hole was, and that the crane was manually operated. There is a guy whose only job in there is to make the car go up and down. And then, of course, they realised how just absolutely jaw-droppingly impractical this was, and never spoke of it again. But as you'll see, this was absolutely core to the original idea.
We're using like really first-rate engineering talent to solve problems that I think are pretty straightforward. And then we're making bricks out of the dirt, and these are bricks that are made by compressing the dirt at extremely high pressures.
People like Elon come and go about once a century or so. We need to fully avail of his ideas and engineering talent.
Adding a little bit of just a small amount of concrete, and you can have bricks that are rated for California seismic loads. And then these bricks, we actually think we can sort of sell the bricks for like 10 cents a brick or something like that. And they're really great bricks. Feel like build houses with them and things.
Ah, yes, the brilliant idea of turning tunneling spoil into bricks. If only there was some sort of name for a scheme like this, where someone promises the absolute world and never delivers on it.
And so then like, if we can actually take the dirt from the tunnel and instead of just dumping it somewhere, we can turn it into something useful.
So we're going to make bricks out of the dirt from the tunnel and then sell the bricks. The tunnel could actually pay for itself with just bricks. Like a lot of these things are really quite elementary, but are not done.
That can be used for fun or for real buildings.
Electric cars, rockets, solar roofs, tunnels, and now cheap, super strong bricks for affordable housing. Elon, do you ever sleep? What a man! Love emoji. We should really take his ideas seriously. I really admired this man, the greatest man of our time.
After he talked about it for a little bit, I looked over at my friend Zach and I was like,
I'll buy a couple of bricks. You know, I think this could be, for affordable housing, like really compelling.
If anyone shows up and it needs bricks for affordable housing, it's free.
And you will be stunned to find out that there were never any bricks for affordable housing.
I bought this for $200 and I bought 2 of them. So I spent $400 for 2 bricks that are going to cost 10 cents in the future.
Or alternatively, you might have one of the only bricks ever made by the Boring Company, made as a publicity stunt.
The cost to build a highway, I mean, it depends who you ask, but it's between 1 and 4 million a mile. So if tunnels were,
Is it per lane mile?
well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, add a lane,
Right.
add a lane, 1 to 4 million.
Yeah.
So, if tunnels were there, why is everything not tunnels in that case?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Let's check out some Boring Company numbers, shall we? The Las Vegas Convention Center loop system has about 1.5 miles of tunnel in it total. So, it's about 1 mile in length and it goes both ways. Whatever, let's call it 2 miles worth of tunnel and cost about $50 million. So that's at $25 million per mile. About 25 times more expensive than a freeway lane. Except, of course, a freeway lane is about 4 meters wide, whereas the road provided by the Boring Company is basically the footprint of the car, about 2 meters. Basically, if you wanted to scale this up to freeway-style dimensions, as in their demo video, you would require a tunnel with about twice the diameter, which would require you to shift about 4 times as much dirt, bumping its per mile cost up to something like $100 million per mile. And those are the amazing new revolutionary, cheap to build using rocket science.
So we get to use rocket technology to build tunnels.
Of Elon Musk. Okay, so they don't dig their tunnels any cheaper than anyone else, and they're at least 10 times more expensive than building freeways. But maybe they dig them much faster than anyone else.
Godot, which is the name of the first machine, and then Proofrock, which is the fully Boring Company designed machine. So Proofrock, that'll be quite a radical change. Proofrock will be, we think, probably about 10 times, aspirationally 15 times faster than current boring machines.
Over to our favourite Boring Company defender to tell us how the speed of the Godot digging its tiny tunnel compares to the speed of digging their massive channel tunnel a few decades ago.
So the average over those 139 days, if you discount the disassembly, is 19.15 meters, which is respectable. Remember, this is Godot. Godot's obviously a machine that's going to go away very soon and will be replaced by Proofrock, which is going to be at least 4, maybe 5 times faster. So you're looking in the range of 115 to 120 meters per day, maybe going closer to 150 meters per day at some point.
Okay, so the channel tunnel got about 20 meters per day done, which was about what the Boring Company managed. But they've got their new amazing machine called Proofrock, entirely designed using rocket technology from SpaceX to dig tunnels. That's going to be loads faster, 10 times faster at least, right? Well, the Proofrock was used to dig the Resorts World extension, a tunnel which, according to our favourite delusional Boring Company defender, is about 600 metres long. So it should have taken them about 4 days to dig, right? So according to a Boring Revolution, it was going to launch in 4 days on July the 24th. So it's going to arrive, first week of August? That sort of thing? What? It didn't arrive in the first week of August? Well, maybe late August. What? Didn't arrive in late August? Well, maybe September. No. October? November? December? January? February? And yes, Elon Musk proudly announced that it arrived on February the 7th. Didn't quite mention the speed of the machine, but let's take a look at that just for laughs. So what was it? Your typical boring machine would do 20 odd meters per day. And that's what the Boring Company got off their commercially bought machine. Then they decided, hey, we're going to make this super advanced using a rocket technology. And now our custom-made tunnel boring machine does about 2 meters per day. It took them over 6 months to dig a single lane tunnel across a car lot. A moment of zen, please.
But for now, they're working 24/7 to try to get these tunnels built super fast so that Elon can show the world we can build tunnels, we can build them faster than what most people build them for, and we can build them for 1/10 of what most people build them for.
This day's really not working out the way you planned.
So, if tunnels were there, why is everything not tunnels in that case?
Right. We're talking about a loop, so we're trying to distinguish loop versus hyperloop. Hyperloop would be where we draw a vacuum on the tunnel, have a pressurized pod, and go very fast.
Stop it!
And this would be good for long distances, say going from LA to San Francisco, going from Washington, D.C. to New York, that kind of thing.
The Hyperloop. Even Musk fans aren't keen on defending that these days.
And so Hyperloop would connect to a loop. And you'd have a sort of smooth transition. Yeah.
Yes, a smooth transition between the non-existent and the dysfunctional.
Though I rather think it's all for naught. What happens when the non-existent bumps against the decrepit?
Now for Elon to present an ankle-high electric car, massively overpowered. It's got nothing in it except batteries and motors. It's just designed to go very fast in a short tunnel and gets absolutely nothing out of being in a vacuum tube. He's going to present that as some amazing development in technology that will make the Hyperloop possible. And just so we're clear, the speed record that he's so proud of here is about the typical speed of high-speed rail.
So that was a video of a test pod ride that we did in the Hyperloop tunnel.
Yes, yeah, of course it's a test pod. It's not a small electric car at all.
We have like a roughly 0.8 mile vacuum tube at just by SpaceX. It's about 5 or 6 feet in diameter, and we've been able to go a couple hundred miles an hour. And we think probably we're aiming for around to go over 300 miles an hour.
Here's the epitome of awkward elegance. I love watching his mind work.
But accelerate all the way 300 miles an hour and brake, and that's in a vacuum tunnel. So it's really just sort of refining the technology necessary for ultra high speed transport from city to city. And yeah, it's kind of fun. We can go faster than a jet. We can go faster than a jet. Like you don't really have sort of.
And one of the wonderful events that Elon puts on at SpaceX and the Boring Company is a Hyperloop competition, which we do every year. And the first year, actually, this is true, over 1,000 universities worldwide entered, which was amazing. And then we narrowed it down to 20, and then 20 came and actually competed at SpaceX. Fastest pod wins. And last year, a team won at 202 miles an hour. That's a student team building a pod in 9 months. So it shows the tech is very doable.
Yeah.
And spoiler, a small electric car going down a short piece of tunnel in a vacuum tube, which does absolutely nothing for its speed, does nothing to show that the Hyperloop technology is doable.
Yeah.
Like so, and this is all running in a vacuum tube.
Yep. Elon's always very clear with me and the team, we must do the most useful, helpful thing possible.
So if we do things like help connect 2 subway lines in LA, that'd be great. If obviously having us sort of like many stations come out at subway stations, at bus stops, at LAX, and
it's pretty great.
So we think these times are actually real.
And for those who missed why that's funny, all he's done is say, well, what if we could just travel this distance at 120 miles per hour? Well, yeah, okay. What if we could do it at 400 miles per hour? Look, there you go. I've done it at 400 miles per hour. 4 times faster than Elon Musk can do it. I know. Hold your applause for my visionary ability.
And this is, what you're seeing there is just like in a kind of an example network. Ultimately, it would probably be something different from this exact diagram and probably be far more widespread, maybe like really all over the greater LA area.
And here we are, 5 years later on, where this is... Oh, no, there is no loop system in Los Angeles. But there is about a 1 mile stretch in Las Vegas, which would be about this size if you were to actually put it on this scheme. Now, that's the progress of a visionary genius.
Yeah, so, but because of the nature of tunnels, as I was saying, you can, as you reach capacity on one tunnel, you can simply put another tunnel underneath it.
This man will be remembered for thousands and thousands of years. His legacy will change the world as we know it.
And then keep going. And even if you want to have 100 levels deep, you could do 100 levels deep. There's we should have like a few stations would be bigger, like maybe at LAX, where you've got a single port, like an airport or a seaport. You'd see a larger station, and then those would all go and drop people off very close to their home or work. So we're prioritizing. So the commitment we've made is like we're always going to prioritize pods that carry pedestrians and cyclists. That'll be nice sort of higher density pod. So yeah, we have a lot of SpaceX engineers that are either kind of working at SpaceX and the Boring Company or full-time at the Boring Company.
Humanity needs more people like this. Elon Musk helps me hope idiocracy doesn't become a reality. This man is incredible. Unintentional irony.
SpaceX and the Boring Company or full-time at the Boring Company. And so we get to use rocket technology to build tunnels.
To one of the question cards, you guys addressed this a little bit, but how much would it cost to travel from LAX to Sherman Oaks?
Well, I think it was like $1.
$1, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, LAX to Sherman Oaks is some 20-ish miles, so if you used a regular tunnel boring machine, it would take about 20 years to complete that system. Or 200 years if you used the boring machine developed using SpaceX technology, and the rough cost of that tunnel would be about $1 billion. And let's see, an Uber driver would charge some $40 to make that drive. But because of Musk economics, the $40 taxi driver will only cost $1 if he's driving his taxi in a tunnel. Yeah, right. Now, you might think that, yeah, but this was when he was promising that it was all going to be fully automated somehow, and that's how it was going to be loads cheaper. Obviously, once they actually get to a system like the one in Las Vegas, where they are actually just pitching people driving taxis around in a tunnel like this, they're not going to make that sort of claim then. Right?
There will be a fare charged. It will be per car and not per rider. And the Boring Company is committed that will be somewhere between bus fare and what it would cost to ride on an Uber or a Lyft.
I mean, I'd love to hear the Musk fans' explanation for this, of how an underground Uber driver is somehow going to be much cheaper than an overground one.
Great question. Now, Steve Hill tells me that it's going to be more expensive than RTC public transit, but less expensive than using rideshare like Uber or Lyft.
Like, how? What? And this is ignoring the fact that you've got to pay somehow for the tunnels that cost $55 million per mile to dig, and you have to maintain them. I mean, how is an underground Uber going to be any cheaper than an overground one?
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Yeah, this is what the cult of Musk looks like. They believe things that are evidently preposterous. It's like clinging to the belief that the ship is unsinkable even as the water is lapping up your ankles. Well, I don't know, maybe they should just call the guy who says the ship is sinking obsessed. Yeah, sure, that'll do it. That'll prove the ship isn't sinking. Hell, there have been multiple moments like this when I was hoping people would just snap out of the cult of Musk. Like when about 3.5 years in, someone tweeted a picture of the glass minivan to Musk saying, "I can't wait to see them in Las Vegas." Yeah, from the company that can barely make a few models of electric car. And of course, he just tweets back at them, "Well, we've simplified it a lot. It's basically just Teslas in tunnels at this point, which is way more profound than it sounds." And if you can read something like that and think, "Wow, cars in tunnels, that's so profound," you might be in a cult. And ain't none so deep in the cult that 5 years after this, they can look into a camera and claim this is what winning looks like. You might also notice that his method of defending the Boring Company doesn't actually pivot around defending the Boring Company, but attacking the character of people who are telling him that the ship's actually been sat on the seafloor for some time now.
Does. Because he thinks he's better than Elon Musk. In fact, what Phil does is he thinks he's better than everyone. That's why he thinks he should be the person that you listen to. But in reality, he's not. He's a fucking loser. And the key point to remember here, before I conclude this beautiful video, is that we have already won. You know, we have already won if you're looking at the last 5 to 10 years or so. And the next 10 years will be an even bigger victory for ourselves.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it?
Crazy, right? And that's today's video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed watching the evolution of Elon Musk's utterly delusional levels of overpromise 5 years ago to their realization today. Subscribing is always a good option if you don't want to miss out on videos like this, and as ever, if you really like this channel and the truth bombs that sometimes take a little time to actually hit their mark, you can always support this channel through Patreon. And thanks for watching.